Hi, I'm Bridget Talbot, and today I'm exploring a question that's shaping classrooms everywhere. Should schools limit or ban student cell phones during the school day? It's a complex issue. Phones can support learning, but they can also disrupt it. This talk is about finding balance, building better habits, and helping students focus in a world full of distractions. Here's a quick look at where we are headed today. We will start with the issue itself, what's happening with phones in schools, and why it matters so much. And then we'll move into the different viewpoints, how students, teachers, and parents each see the problem from their own perspective. After that, we will look at the key players who shape these policies and the roles they play in making them work or fail. From there, I'll share some possible solutions, practical ideas schools can use to make phone policy feel fair and realistic. And finally, we will wrap it up with the takeaway that ties everything together, how ethical leadership can guide decisions that protect learning while still respecting students and families. Each section connects back to the same big idea: balance. How do we balance freedom with responsibility? How do we balance safety and focus? How do we balance the needs of students, teachers, and parents in a way that feels fair? Along the way, I'll touch on how technology shapes us socially and emotionally, how leadership sets the tone for schools, and what this issue means for the future of education. By the end, I hope we'll see that something as everyday as a cell phone rule isn't just about discipline, it's about how students learn, how teachers teach, and how much trust families place in their schools. So here's the issue. Should schools limit or even ban student cell phone use during the school day? Phones are everywhere in classrooms, and many see them as a huge distraction. Between notifications, social media, and endless scrolling, it's easy for students to drift away from what's happening without even realizing it. It affects how they focus, listen, and even remember. But phones aren't all bad. Used with intent, they can help. Students can look things up instantly, join online discussions, take notes, or even use apps that support learning. Some teachers build phones into lessons with polls or quick research, and it keeps students engaged. The real challenge isn't phones or no phones, it's balance, creating a space where students can focus but still feel connected and supported. And that's why this becomes an ethical question. It's not just about the device, it's about how we teach students to use it responsibly. Think about it this way: phones are like any other tool. A calculator can help you solve math problems, but if you rely on it for everything, you stop learning the basics. A phone can help you research, but if it's constantly pulling you into TikTok or Snapchat, you stop learning how to think deeply. The question isn't whether phones belong in schools, it's whether students are being taught how to use them in a way that actually supports their education. And that's where leadership comes in. School leaders aren't just deciding rules, they're shaping habits. The way they handle phones today will influence how students handle distractions tomorrow, in college, in the workplace, and in life. So, why does this matter? Learning and focus take a hit. Phones buzz with notifications, and even a quick glance down can break concentration. It's hard to stay locked into a lesson when your mind is halfway on TikTok. Teachers often say it takes several minutes for students to get back into the rhythm of learning after even one interruption. Multiply that by dozens of notifications in a day, and you can see how much time is lost. Then there's the students' well being. Many feel anxious if they can't check their phones, convinced they're missing something. That constant connection adds stress. Instead of being present in class, they're worried about what's happening online. It's a cycle that makes focus harder and learning less effective. Phones also amplify social pressure, more comparison, more drama, more chances to feel left out. They can chip away at confidence and mental space while students are trying to learn. Imagine being 15 years old and trying to solve an algebra problem while also worrying about whether your last post got enough likes. That's the reality for many students. And of course, safety matters. Parents want to know their kids are okay, and emergency phones are lifelines. That keeps families connected and give schools a faster way to communicate. But that same constant connection can interrupt learning if it isn't managed well. This isn't just about academics, it's about emotions, trust, and safety. Phones can help or harm depending on the boundaries schools set and the habits students build. And here's the deeper truth when students are constantly connected, they're rarely present. And presence is where learning happens. So, when we talk about cell phones in schools, there are a few viewpoints to consider. Students see phones as part of everyday life. For them, it's about freedom and connection, not balance or rules. What they don't realize is how much phones shape the way they think and learn. Short bursts of content from TikTok or Snapchat trains their brains for constant movement, making deep focus harder. Many even say they can't concentrate without music or notifications in the background, but learning requires silence, patience, and focus. Teachers see it differently. They're at the front of the classroom, competing with nonstop notifications. Every buzz pulls attention away. Students are present but not engaged, and real discussions become harder. And that disconnect wears teachers down. They know their students are capable, but they can't hold their attention long enough to reach them. Teachers also carry the burden of enforcement. They didn't enter teaching to confiscate phones, they came to inspire curiosity. Now they spend time redirecting instead of teaching, and it's exhausting. Parents focus on safety and communication. They want to know their child can be reached if something happens. After seeing stories of school emergencies, phones feel like a lifeline. They also make daily logistics easier. Pickups, activities, school schedules. But parents are torn. They see how phones pull kids away from conversations, homework, and rest. Most don't want a ban, they want balance, safety and reachability, but also discipline and focus. When it comes to cell phone policies, there's a few key groups involved, each with a different role. Students are the reason these policies exist, but most don't see phones as a distraction. For them, phones are daily life. Rules feel like limits, not guidance, and how they respond, whether they follow or ignore them, depends how effective policies are. I've seen students use their cell phones to snap homework boards, record instructions, or help a friend catch up. Those moments show phones can be tools when used with purpose. The challenge is that most students aren't taught responsible use. They are expected to just know, which isn't realistic. Schools have an ethical responsibility to teach technology use that supports learning. Teachers want classrooms where focus and creativity thrive, but every buzz or glance at a screen pulls attention away, making their job harder. Imagine leading a novel discussion while half the class checks TikTok. It's not just frustrating, it's exhausting. Teachers often describe it as trying to teach to half focused minds, always one alert away from drifting off. Teachers shouldn't have to choose between enforcing rules and building relationships. Ethical leadership means giving them policies that provide both structure and empathy. Parents think about safety and communication, but their needs are layered. Phones help with custody schedules, pickups, medical needs, and emergencies. For some, they're lifelines, especially when a child has health or anxiety concerns. But that lifeline can feel like a leash. Parents want connection, but they also want their kids to succeed. Limits shouldn't feel like punishment, they're protection. School leaders set the tone. They build learning, they protect learning by setting clear expectations, explaining policies, and supporting teachers. They listen, adjust, and keep communication open so trust grows. Strong leaders don't just enforce rules, they explain them, showing how policies serve a bigger purpose, preparing students for life. This isn't just about phones, it's about preparing students for life where focus, boundaries, and communication matter. That's the leadership schools need. Let's talk about some solutions that make phone policies feel fair and realistic. First, schools can create clear phone use. Phones stay put away during class, but students can use them before school, at lunch, or after the final bell. That structure gives freedom without feeling like a total ban, and it teaches when phones use is appropriate. Next, set expectations early. When students and parents know the rules before the year begins, confusion drops. Explaining why the policy exists builds trust, and families who understand the reasoning are more likely to support it. That turns the policy into a shared goal instead of a punishment. Another idea is to involve students in decisions. Ask them what feels responsible during the school day. Surveys or small group sessions help them see how phones affect focus and learning. When students feel included, they're more likely to respect the rule. Schools also need to train teachers for consistency. Students notice when one class allows phones and the other doesn't. Inconsistency makes policies feel unfair. Teachers need support, not just rules from the top. Staff meetings or professional development can provide realistic strategies so everyone is on the same page. It's also important to provide expectations for emergencies. Parents need peace of mind. If something serious happens to students, they should be able to reach them. Clear expectations show families and schools care about both safety and focus. Finally, review policies yearly. What works one year may not work the next. Listening to students and parent feedback keeps policies flexible and fair and connected to the community. Ultimately, protecting learning, earning trust, and keeping communication open prepares students not just for tests, but for life. Responsibility, patience, and respect are qualities that extend far beyond the classroom. At the end of the day, this isn't really about phones. It's about helping kids learn in ways that prepare them for real life. Phones are part of that world we live in, and they're not going away. They can be useful tools, but when they take over the classroom, they get in the way of focus, growth, and learning. As teachers, parents, and leaders, our job isn't to ban technology, it's to show students how to use it wisely. That means agreeing on clear boundaries and modeling good habits ourselves. If students learn how to manage distractions now, they'll carry that skill into college, into jobs, and into everyday life. Focus, time management, and problem solving all start in schools. And those skills are valuable everywhere. This isn't about control, it's about giving kids the chance to reach their full potential. When schools and families agree on boundaries, and that it's not about taking phones away, it's about giving students a chance to focus on success. Phones can help students connect, or they can pull them away from what matters. The difference comes from how we guide them. And here's the bigger picture. It's about shaping kids into adults who can handle responsibility, make good choices, and add value to the world around them. Phones are just one part of that journey. The real goal is helping kids grow into people who can focus, adapt, and thrive in a world that isn't patient or caring. And that's why this conversation matters and why it's worth the effort. Think about the world students are stepping into. It's fast, competitive, and full of distractions. Employers want people who can stay focused, solve problems, and communicate effectively. Colleges want students who can think clearly, critically, and manage their time. Relationships, careers, and even mental health depend on being present. They need to learn to turn out the noise and focus on what matters most. And that changes daily, weekly, monthly, etc. Without focus and self control, students will be unprepared. With them, they gain more than grades. They gain skills to thrive in school, in work, and in life. If you don't help students build skills like focus and self control now, they'll step into their future unprepared. But if we do, if we show them how to manage distractions and stay present, we're giving them something far more valuable than grades. We're giving them the tools to thrive in school and at work and in life. And that's the kind of leadership schools need, the kind of future students deserve. And that's why this issue isn't just about phones, it's about learning for life. These are the sources that I used to shape this presentation. They reflect current research, educators' perspectives, and some real-world examples around cell phone use in schools. And I wanted this talk to be grounded not just in personal experience, but in evidence, and these references helped me do that. Thank you so much for listening and being part of this conversation.